Good morning, episode 12. I'm Andrew Reid from Resilient Business Systems, and on my left is
Adam Walker. Oh, sound effects. Good morning, how are you?
do you know what? I'm very excited. Can you tell why?
No.
We're in our new pod office.
I know, we're in the pod office, or what's going to be called Darlington Stream Space. It is a work in progress, though.
But it is and looks fabulous. Tiny bit echoey, but I'm hoping the listeners cannot hear any of the echo.
Yeah, so this is a project I've been working on. Oh, you're still going?
Yeah, sorry. You spoilt it, but never mind. I don't mind.
This is a project I've been working on in the background, and essentially, Darlington Stream Space is officially going live probably Monday next week.
So let me ask a few questions. What was the idea behind it, apart from me and you to have our own office?
Well, because we needed our own office. No, like, we've been podcasting, and obviously we've given it a go, and it's episode 12. I couldn't believe that, actually.
I know.
Thought that's flown by. We've started here for pretty much 12 hours doing this.
Enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you, Alina. Alina's just brought coffee.
Yes.
So it's a bit of a work in progress because we got it yesterday.
Yes.
And it's something I've been working on in the background. HubSpoke is going to be the media partner for it. And Stream Space, as it is now known, work in progress if you're looking at things around us, by the way. That will be bookable through this building, Darlington Business Central.
That's a really good idea, though. I'm very excited for you.
Yep, so we've got some equipment purchasing to do. I've just realised the button's pressed on my thing. There we go. So I've got some equipment purchasing to do because it's going to be like self-serve as well. But the reason for it is clearly there is a demand for a space.
No, I totally agree. And I think we were chatting just off air, obviously getting some really good technical equipment, like a roadcaster.
Yep.
So people can you can set it up. People could literally come in, press one button, it'll record for them. And then it's like, well, there you go. There's your podcast or there's your recording.
Exactly. So, yes, it is so we can have our own office because, as you've heard, if you've been listening, we've been going, hi, Alina, as they've walked in, or hi, Jess, or hi, whoever's walked in the office. And we haven't minded that. It's just how we are with it. But, this is good. So this is going to be this is the start of one set. I'm going to try and do a couple. Yeah. So you can sort of choose where you sit, how you do it.
That'd be a good idea.
We could mix it up.
Yeah.
So really excited. So this is sort of on my other side, outside of HubSpoke. And then the HubSpoke side is the filming, the cameras, all of that. So the idea is people can come in and do it, have a go. And also it's about having a bit of a quiet space where you can do it. A quiet space that I admit is still is echoey. We've put these initial panels on the wall behind me. Yeah. And I've got a couple of panels behind the cameras, but that is literally where I got to yesterday afternoon.
Yes, obviously.
Hot glue. And I tell you what, if you ever need to mount foam panels, they're a nightmare, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Never thought.
Yeah, they really are. I've had them peel off the walls and this, that, and the other over the years. But there's some sheeting over there from B&Q that costs £5 a sheet, and it's like floor protector stuff.
Yes, I recognised it. We used to have some in the old house where we were trying to protect the underlay.
Yeah. So but it's perfect for sticking panels to. It's lightweight, so you can command strip it to the wall, and away you go. So obviously, I've got some remedial work where we're just getting it in yesterday, but it's starting to take shape. So
it's going to be good. So hopefully next week I'll see even more of these.
You will.
Proofing panels.
100%, because we're going to be doing it today.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
excellent.
So I'm going to be sticking another 4 up on there. I've got some temporary lighting in at the moment, but we're going to have some lighting dropped off today.
Right.
And that's going to be so we can sort of cast light and make it look very visual.
Good. So that's going to be all day today then?
Not quite all day. I've got a few bits and bobs to do. I've got some editing to do. But I'm getting help. My father is coming to help me.
Father.
Yes.
Hurrah for father.
Yeah, well, he helped me when I got into the HubSpoke office because how do you juggle everything? It's a nightmare.
Yeah. I remember that weekend you were doing it because we were in it the weekend as well, and we were moving offices, and everybody seemed to move at the same time, and it was like, "Hi, Adam, what are you doing? Moving offices? Oh, we're moving offices as well."
And then you saw us building our furniture. You walked in, you looked at our desks, and went, "We fancy building some of those." So you ordered some.
We did. So now we've got duplicate desks. It's very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So yes, excited to be in our new podcast office. So how's your week been, my friend?
Week's been good. We've been called out.
Oh, again?
Again. TikTok strikes again.
Get in. Is it another positive good call out?
Yeah.
You say that with a tiny bit of reluctance in your voice.
Do you remember you mentioned the Christmas songs?
Yes.
And it wasn't getting a hammering for talking about Christmas.
No.
We're talking about that, and someone commented about me saying, "Isn't that the guy who tried to steal the chipmunks?"
Peas and peas. Isn't that the guy that tried to steal the chipmunks?
Yeah, in the movie. So I've got a photo for you.
All right.
We'll put it on screen. So Alina, please, thank you. Yeah. So I mean, I've never expected that sort of engagement, but it's engagement.
Hey, I was about to say, did we not say that any engagement is good engagement?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously they weren't being nasty.
No, but they listen to the podcast, which is positive.
Yeah. So it says, "Isn't that the fellow Ego tried to steal the chipmunks?"
Wow.
Yep. So we did a before and after. Well, him and me photo.
Yeah.
And we've responded on TikTok with that, with some music running. 35 likes.
I tell you what, that's fun.
It got more than the original clip. So, fair enough. Thank you for the comment.
Yes.
You know who you are.
Exactly. That's all good. That's all good.
Revit Lou.
Revit Lou on TikTok.
Revit Lou on TikTok. Hello. I might be the guy who tried to steal the chipmunks.
Exactly. It's good likeness.
So, yeah. Do you know what? It's not far off.
No, it's not, is it? No, it's pretty good. So yes, a good week after that, though.
Yeah, great week. How was your week?
Yeah, very good as well. Got, what do we do? Back in, early on in the week, it was all go. Started onboarding a customer because it was their turn to be onboarded. So lots of automation, which is really positive from my point of view. You just sort of like hit a button, and then within our monitoring software, you just see the machines coming in. It's like, oh, look at that! Come on, here we go.
Oh, I did some automation.
Did you really?
Well, I had something that I couldn't quite work, didn't I? And do you
And-
remember
and who would
somebody
help?
came to help me?
Was I flying down in my cape?
It was. I'd selected the wrong send the type of email. It was getting one of our forms to email us when it's being submitted.
It is annoying. It is annoying that.
Yeah. But you found it. You
Yeah.
dealt with it. And who was the email signed by, may I ask?
Gary.
Mr. Gary.
Mr. Gary.
AI.
I've gone one better.
Yeah.
So now my automation is signed Gary.
Is it?
Gary spelled Gairy.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, Gary.
Garrett.
Gary. But yeah, it's all good. So automation, big kill. So yeah, other than that, it was really good. If I may, a little bit of brilliant and very thankful work between us. You passed on a potential client, which
Teams.
is Teams.
365, yeah. I was speaking to a client and they were describing the challenges that they're facing, in terms of how to better manage their bits and bobs when it comes to IT and technology. And I went, do you know what you need?
Did you just say to him, buy Teams?
Yeah,
buy Teams.
Yeah. And I went, you need an Andy.
Yeah.
You need
honestly, genuinely, it was really nice because I spoke to this gentleman, and what I found refreshing, and it's probably very akin to ourselves, Adam, he was basically saying, look, the company's still fairly young, but I want to get the infrastructure right now. I'm already beginning to feel pain. People sharing emails, people sharing documents. It's not quite right. I need a more sound infrastructure. Again, he was like, look, I know Google, I know Microsoft, I know the rest of them, but he said, I just know that I need it now. And I said, that's really good of you to identify. And he went, well, if I build any further, I'm building on sand.
What I didn't say to him is because we're working on Teams and he would, in theory, have Teams if he goes ahead. I can work in his Teams.
Collaboration is the key.
Yeah, I was doing that with the London client I was on about the other day. So we have he's shared his Teams folders, so I can go in there and do all my work in there for him.
Do you know, and I know we talked about this previously, we talked about this previously, and Teams, and again, we say Teams, Google Drive, it's all the same, but that ability to work collaboratively, it's just something we now take for granted, but how much time does it save? It goes back to what I say, the single pane of glass. You're working on a piece of information. The minute you update it, your client, like we're talking seconds later, goes, oh, Adam's updated that document, I'll have a look. That we're talking seconds, not I will email the document, I will, oh, it's in my email, I get round to looking at it. It's seconds, and it really does, I think, transform business.
I think the thing to mention on this as well is, whilst we always mention Teams, every podcast I think we do, we mention it for a reason.
Yes.
And the reason is, it's really good when you use it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what was the thing that you were saying to me a few episodes back about you didn't realise you had Teams, you had Microsoft 365, but you said, I use like 5, 10, 15% of it, whatever like that. Bless him, my colleague that you passed on, he was like, yeah, I've heard about Teams, but isn't it just chat and video? I was like, no.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah,
That's what I thought it was. I thought it was exactly that. Previous client I worked for, they implemented Teams on their side.
Yeah.
By you, in fact.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was at an arm's length when you implement. I knew you did it. I knew you were working on it, but I was at the arm's length.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, so how are we going to use this sort of thing? And it took us as a team a while to work out.
It does.
How we're going to do it.
It's new procedures, Adam. It's like people. We've said this before. People don't like change, but some people embrace change. Some people are a little bit reluctant, and because it is a change, you instantly get, and it's human nature. You instantly get that. It was just easier the other way. Until they realise what it can do, and suddenly they're like, "Oh my Lord, why wasn't I doing this before?" And suddenly, this is now the new easier way.
Yeah,
it's human.
One of the things I think is the basic win for Teams is we can be working on files, yes, collaboratively, live, whatever. But the bit that goes, do you know when you'd be like, I'm working on this document over here, and I need to go, Andy, have a look at the document. You're in my team.
Yeah.
So what I do is I go, right, worked on the document. I'll attach it to an email. I'll email you the document. You'll do some work on the document. Now, I've got a copy on my machine. You've got a copy on your machine. You'll work on the document. You might change the document. You might send it back to me. You're then reliant on me to save it over the other document, so we don't then have 2 versions of the document, which means we'd actually have 3 versions of the document, and you could merge the document, which means you'd have 4 versions of the document.
It is.
Yeah? So it goes on like that.
That's good, that, by the way.
Thank you. I ran out of air.
Yes.
What I like the most is you go in, blah, 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 blah. In the chat.
Yes.
Andy, I've updated this. There's a link. You go in, blah, 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 blah.
Working collaboratively.
Done.
Even seeing the changes that we've done.
Yeah. No emails back and forth. No reattaching things. No. Yeah.
Single source of truth.
Right. Oh.
Hang on, let's get closer.
He has a piece of paper. Yeah.
I received an email the other day, my friend.
Okay.
And it tickled me.
It tickled you?
It tickled me because I was like, I do not believe this email. But I wanted to pass it, run it by you. So I apologise for springing it on you. Glasses on.
Oh dear.
Hi, I hope you are doing well. Ready to skyrocket your Facebook business score? ? Get new and authentic 5-star reviews from Facebook local guides at an unbeatable rate. Witness a surge in score, rank, calls, inquiries and sales. Join the ranks of 650 plus delighted clients who have triumphed over rivals. Let me know if you are interested and we will send you our pricing and high quality review content. Awaiting your response. Thank you, name protected, because I'm not going to say it. Isn't that wrong, buying Facebook reviews and buying Facebook
Was
stars?
It signed by a king of some country?
No, it was a genuine... The only thing that I will say, it was a genuine email. The only downside is it came from somebody at gmail.com, which I instantly went, well, that's a load of crap. However, I then did my due diligence. I went hunting, and apparently it's exceptionally easy to buy not only Facebook, you can buy Twitter likes, Instagram likes, TikTok likes. I mean, yes, I know it's possible. Yes, I know it's probably sort of like false, but how and why? What's the point?
No point. Ego, maybe.
Right.
Maybe. I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago. There's someone I know who was like, I've just joined up. We're working on this. And they had 40,000 followers.
Yes, you did. Well reminded. Yeah.
Yeah. 40,000. And I was like looking at their post, go, wow, 40,000. How many likes? 3. I was like... Yeah, there's a disconnect. They are not an engaged audience. So I think we're all in the world clever enough to figure that out. Can you just pass that to me? I want to pick up on some of the wording.
Yeah. More rustling of paper.
By the way, Andy is not passing personal data because we have signed agreements between ourselves that means we protect it. So I'm not forfeiting any of those data issues. Right. Yeah. So what made me stand out is your Facebook business score. I've never heard of that term. Maybe that's a lack in my knowledge. I'm going to Google it after this to see if I'm missing anything. Facebook local guides.
Yeah.
Never heard of a Facebook local guide. They're just people, aren't they?
Obviously from a business page point of view.
I am
right.
a local guide on Google.
Wow. Explain.
Officially. Yeah. So you can go on Google, like Google. It's your Google account. It's attached to your Google account. And you can sign up to be a local guide. And what it means, you can leave a review, as you are. But if you sign up as a local guide, they kind of do a bit of verification on you and this, that, and the other. And it's handy for me. The reason why I've done it is I've worked with businesses. For example, I'm working with a pub that's just changed ownership.
Yeah.
And they've got no control of their Google business listing currently.
No, because somebody's either...
I'm trying to find out who's got the keys to the castle. But because I'm working on their website and I'm doing the website and helping them with that, I've updated their hours, for example. It's changed over. I then went to Google, hey, these hours aren't correct. These are the hours. And guess what? Google went, you're right.
You're a guide.
And changed the hours. So obviously, you've got to be careful. So there are such things as Google local guides. And you can do reviews. And I often do reviews for businesses just because I know how much it means, especially working in marketing.
Yeah.
Stayed in a hotel for a wedding.
Oh, very nice.
And I reviewed that and put some photos on. My photos on Google Reviews had like over 1.5 million views, I think. I can pull up the exact thing.
Yeah, I must admit, I do tend to leave Google Reviews, and I do get quite a lot of people liking it.
Yeah, but you could say this thing, where people are getting in touch and offering followers and likes and this, that, and the other. You could say it's a bit of a game.
Hang on a minute.
Andy.
On. Oh, just 2 seconds. I need to pump the volume up and get this in. You ready? Which should be an advert.
Hopefully you can hear that. If you can't hear it, it's the Pac-Man theme tune. Is that right?
Yeah, it gets repetitive after that.
Over and over again. 6 hours.
Over and over again. Do you recognise that theme tune?
Pac-Man.
Right. So we discussed this we met outside of work.
We met outside of work over a curry.
A curry. It was very nice to see you and your lovely lady, and it was not. We did talk a tad of work, but it was nice just to chat about non-work things.
Yeah,
it was really nice. Lovely curry, good. Nice beer. Thank you for your company.
And at the end, thank you for your hospitality. At the end of the meal, I announced today we should talk about gaming and how it changed, like gaming over time. And the impact it's had on our lives. So that's what we're doing today.
Phenomenal impact on my life.
Geeking out times.
Geeking out times. So yeah, absolutely. And I think I mentioned to you the very, very first computer I got was a BBC. BBC B.
I'm going to say something you said the other week. I've done my home.
You've done your homework.
BBC, yeah. So is that the first? Is that the first one you remember?
Yeah, the first one. It was what my mum and dad got me. It was a BBC B, the BBC Micro. And to be fair to my mum and dad, they knew. I mean, I was at that age, so in case of our younger listeners, a certain somebody in a red suit doesn't exist.
Yep.
Yeah. Warning. So they basically asked me what I want, and they knew I was into computers or getting into them, and they said, do you want this or do you want that? And I said I'd really like a BBC, and purely because it was me, because I could play games on it, but I could also program it. I was a geek at that young age.
Yeah, most people will have played games.
I wanted to play games and program it.
Wow.
Yeah. But my first recollection was my friend got a ZX81 with a expansion wobbly RAM pack, and we played all the Spectrum games.
A wobbly RAM pack?
ZX81 right. Spectrum games in black and white.
I have pulled up some tabs on my phone.
Yeah.
And the first one I went to is the BBC Micro.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was my first? All I'm saying is big box with a keyboard on it.
Yeah.
Black keys. What were the top keys? What colour?
Red.
Red, yeah, line of red keys. And then you'd put a floppy disk in the side.
Yeah, and it went zzz,
It did, didn't it? Yeah. Brilliant. So, so I remember having those at primary school.
Yeah.
And I remember that, and also my dad might have been like an Amstrad or something. I can't really remember what it was. It plugged into the TV though.
No, Amstrad. So again, if I remember about the time that my friends and my friends, that we all got out, it was a ZX81, a ZX Spectrum, a Sinclair C4, Sinclair Plus, which is one of the other ones, a Dragon 32. A Dragon CPC something out of there, VIC 20, VIC Commodore 64. They were all like basically breaking into the console rages. And then I think after the BBC, because I loved it so much for programming, but I did want a games arcade machine. I actually got a Texas TI 99 4A. Nobody ever had one.
It just rolls off the tongue.
It did. It was but absolute phenomenal good stuff.
So. My dad had a thing, and I couldn't remember it, but it's funny how memory works, isn't it? Like it's just sort of opened some of the memories. So I'm sure it was a Charlie Chaplin, that's it, Charlie Chaplin game. And I can't remember what the device was, because if I can figure that out. All I remember is my dad had this sort of keyboardy BBC type thing, but he used a cassette tape.
Yes.
Yeah. And we used to play off there. And I can't remember what the machine is. And then I was like, I wonder if it's still in a loft somewhere. So I'm going to have a dig at that. But yeah, so I remember that. And I remember BBC Micro, because that's what we had at school. And it was like going on a quest. I can't remember what the games were. Do you remember some of the games for the BBC?
Yeah, well, first of all, in terms of the ZX Spectrum and all the rest of the games, those were the ones that really started to kick in, and you almost had all of the, Saber Wolf, Manic Miner, Jetpack Willie, Jet Set Willie, Jetpack, all of those games. But I think on the BBC, I really started to taking some of the graphics, the very first flight simulator.
Yes.
Revs, which was one of the racing simulator. And then me and my friend Eddie, who currently works with us now, funnily enough, our love of games brought us together. Me and him just playing the game Elite Dangerous on the BBC, and probably wasting, I would say, a good 9 months of our lives just playing that game. Just phenomenal game.
Best game title ever, I think, ever. And it was on the BBC. Chucky Egg.
Did you know, and I will send you the link, there is a browser online version of the game. You just go to a website and you simply play Chucky Egg. And I loved it. I loved that game. So I'll send you it. It is honestly brilliant. Yeah. Loved Chucky Egg was all of that one. There was a big quest, I want to call it. And I can't remember what it was called. But again, it was one of the BBC big first quest adventures. Yeah. And that was amazing. And again, in terms of that.
So what blew me away is BBC came out around then. I then jumped to Acorn Archimedes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that my friend had. I was so jealous.
Oh, it was a wonderful machine.
Lemmings.
Fabulous. Say that again.
Lemmings.
Absolutely. We could all follow each other.
Paperboy.
Loved Paperboy. Get in.
Paperboy. That's all I wanted to play, actually.
Yeah.
All I wanted to play. And there was loads sort of stuff.
But that was around the time also that arcade machines started coming out, and arcade stores started popping up. I remember walking, me and my friends walking in town, and we went somewhere, I think, and it was like, what's that machine over there? And I just remember it going, I'll get you, Space Cadet. And it was golf. And it was just like, what is this? Oh my gosh. Yeah. And obviously prior to that, there was the Space Invaders. There was, the asteroids of that. But this golf one was the first one we came on. And it was just like, this is amazing. And you always used to go to this Sunday, always used to go down to Redcar Beach and play all of them. But asteroids, and all of
you were well located to get to. Yeah. It wasn't quite the same here in Darlington.
No, absolutely, because I lived, exactly. So that was just phenomenal in terms of that. And obviously, we are jumping around. I mean, obviously, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, again.
But we're working our way forward, because I think actually it's the next sort of 20 years that we discuss. Cannon fodder, I just need to say.
Oh, what a game.
Cannon fodder, top down, with your mouse.
Yes.
And it was like shoot the tanks or planes or whatever. Yeah, that was brilliant. So it was great looking through some of these. And then I saw Speedball, and I was like, completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That was crazy stuff. Outrun then came out, and you had to drive the car.
Yeah.
So again, some of these games were just really good in terms of capturing your imagination. And I think even now, if we jump forward, obviously nowadays people want massive depth. The RPGs, they want. Back then, all it was can you beat the high score?
Yeah.
It was repetitive.
100%.
Yeah,
So what I don't understand is at this point. So hang on, let me just check my date because I've got it here. So at this point, you had the BBC computer, which was how big?
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. And then the Game Boy.
Yeah, which was handheld.
And graphically, very similar.
Yeah.
I would argue.
Yeah,
correct?
No, definitely.
And I was like, I had a Game Boy, and I loved it. I didn't have a computer at home necessarily, like a gaming one. My dad was always into it. He built a 286.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had a couple of little MS-DOS games on there and things like that. I remember playing chess and the odd thing that we had.
Just stopping you there, if you think even further back, my mum and dad bought me an Atari. Ooh. The great big wooden ones with the great big
the joystick.
Yeah, we had one of them. And we also won a Star Chess game, which was a huge console that you plugged into TV, but played Star Chess. And you had these long controllers on wires, and you basically, you moved your pawn, but it was in Starland, you had to kill and all that. But those type Mam used to play with me, used to play the Pong. With the ball just going backwards and forwards. And then early days, I mean, the games were so basic, but I think captured the imagination of just, I'm in a different world. I'm playing a game in space, or I'm doing something.
Yeah, so on the Game Boy, obviously, there's Tetris, which changed
everybody's
life. Landscape of gaming and how big it was. Very retro, and very in fashion.
Yeah.
But then things like, obviously, Super Mario, stuff like that. But I had Kirby's Dream World, which I loved. That was a good game. Really good
stuff
game.
Like that, yeah.
And then this is where things start to change in terms of, you had all the standard things. But I'd say the big one that started to change how the world looks at gaming, in my view, Pokemon.
Yeah, very true. I mean, that is a real sort of like different level of where people began to play.
What is it? Well, it's kind of like the massive multiplayer online RPG, but without the online bit.
Yeah, exactly.
But they created a world that you could walk around, you could talk to people. You'd obviously spend hours walking around through forests, trying to come across a Pokemon that you were trying to catch. And I loved it. I played the whole of that game in its entirety.
No, never caught me.
Never got you?
Never got me.
Oh, I think I was right age, right time for that one. And it was
obsessive. I mean,
obsessive.
What now? I'm 55, 54, sorry.
Yeah, 37.
37, so there's a big difference.
Yeah.
So the first, for me, the first real, I'd class it as arcade is, again, I got a Sega Mega Drive. So Sonic. I was
going to come on to that.
Sonic really caught me.
If I say pick your next Sega game, what would it be?
Now, I went from the Sega Mega Drive, and I also then went to a Sega Dreamcast.
Okay. So when you think of Sega, what's the other game that pops in your head?
I would say, to me, it would be Jet Set Radio.
Yeah.
Or Taxi.
Taxi. Remember that. Echo the Dolphin.
Echo the Dolphin was a fabulous game.
It was.
That to death.
And, that was brilliant.
Really, really, really good in that.
Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage was even better. And the fact that you could play duel.
Yes.
Like, get over here, and you would flip them and jump on your back.
Yeah,
and,
you could throw them over into the bad guys. Golden Axe.
Golden Axe was another classic.
So you really started
Dungeons and Dragons, the first level top-down one.
100%. So you really started to see the changing gaming behaviours to where we are
just
today.
Incredible in terms of that. And again, as I think, so simple in terms of the concept, but you could begin to see, like, Streets of Rage, there was a backline story to it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a repetitive, if we're talking about repetitive, but one of my absolute top faved game is Mr. Do.
Mr. Do?
Yeah, Mr. Do. It's a well-known one, but a not well-known one.
Yeah.
But it's a lot about a little clown, and he runs around, and he's got to capture and eat all of these apples. You get things coming after you that you throw a ball, and it bounces around, but then you can run over, and you can get an extra. And it's probably my favourite go back to game. And we mentioned this on Tuesday. So have you heard of MAME?
I think
Machine Arcade Memory Emulator?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so all of these games can be legitimately sourced, for want of a better word, but you have a Machine Arcade Memory Emulator. And I have built my own arcade machine at home with all the proper paddles and the proper buttons
the whole
and the
lot.
proper things like that. It's a PC running inside it, but it runs this MAME. And, we have invited you and Corey round, and when you do come round, we'll probably just let the ladies chat while me and you just spend hours.
Pew pew.
This console, you go onto this MAME, and I think at the last count I had something like about 6,000 games.
Wow.
And you could all the ones that you mentioned there, Pac-Man, even my Mr. Do, even like Outrun and all the rest, like even Ping and Pong and whatever, I've got them all. And it's so nice that when you're having a drink with some friends, just to say, do you fancy taking a step back in time,
a bit of a go
and you literally boot up this thing.
I love that.
Oh, honestly. My son, Dan, he's got the exact same thing, but it's all running on a Raspberry Pi.
Yes.
Through the Pi emulator. It's called Pi. And honestly, it is just retro Pi. It really is very clever. But you do hark back, and I remember hours and hours sat with Dan, my son, when he was young, and we also got a Super Nintendo. And again, another great thing. And playing Mario
Kart.
Hours and hours and hours.
That's when it began. The whole Mario Kart adventure. It's still going strong today.
Still going strong today. But I think though that shaped me in terms of what can be done, what wanted to be done.
Yeah.
How the world was moving that fast. But to also be able to take a break from the real world and just like get lost in, and as I say, Elite Dangerous, there was me, Eddie, my friend, we used to come round at the weekend, and we were in that spaceship. We were sat in front of the BBC Micro. It made no difference. We were that. He would control, we would take turns, because obviously, again, it was all keyboard back then.
Yeah.
So you had to use your WASD keys.
Yep.
And then you had to press other keys that were the other side of the keyboard.
Yep.
But together we formed probably such a great friendship, which is why he's working for me today. It bonded us because it would be like, get the missiles going. So I'd be hitting the missile button, and then it'd be like, watch out, there's something coming to the left,
Yeah.
And we weren't looking at a black and white screen. We were there in space fighting those Thargoids.
And I think this is the thing. Like, growing up, you get into it.
Yeah.
We got into it. And then being an adult, I still enjoy my gaming.
Well, as you all know, I'm 100% of a gamer.
So before we come into current day, what I want to do, there was one thing I wanted to do. So the thing that really started to accelerate it was, this is all pre-internet gaming. You didn't play online. So my earliest memory of internet gaming was when I went to my mate's house. And what we used to do is set up our LAN, our local area network.
It used to be huge in our area. When we're having the next gaming LAN
you take
session.
the computers over, because that's what you literally had to do.
You carted it over.
Yeah, and you'd play. But then I remember my mate, he was like, right, I'm playing Quake online. The original Grand Theft Auto online.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And then obviously it starts to simmer down. We'd been playing. But at the same time, we had the PC stuff. We had a Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
First console that did sort of 4-player.
Yeah.
I've got to share you our GoldenEye setup, right? So GoldenEye, what a classic, yeah. We used to play 4-player GoldenEye, and we used to do 2v2. So it was me and my mate versus his brother and my other mate, in fact. And what we'd do is we'd do 2v2. They got the no radar thing, because if you completed levels in a certain time or you did a certain task, you'd get you could turn radar off in multiplayer, so you couldn't see each other.
Yeah.
But that wasn't good enough, because you could still see each other's screens.
Yeah.
So we constructed a cardboard divider system, right? So we had two ways. The table my mate had was actually a really tall one. We used to put it on the TV on there. So we would sit low down at the bottom, and we would be players 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And they'd be players 1 and 2. And there would be a big piece of cardboard across the middle of the screen.
Yeah.
So you couldn't see each other's screens.
Clever.
And we wouldn't play that game unless we were doing that.
Yes.
The other time we did, we managed to split the signal to 2 TVs, and we just put cardboard over the other half of the screen.
Yeah.
We once had a 4-player one where we made a cross that lines up on the TV.
Yeah.
And we would play individually. You'd be each in your little corner playing it, and that's like the level of GoldenEye we took it to.
That is
and it was like,
incredible.
we'll always play on health minus 10.
Yes.
So it was like realistic sort of thing for a game. And then no radar, and you'd go on like that. And we'd play it for hours.
Literally
and this was
hours.
pre-internet, but it's for consoles.
Yes.
Pre-internet for consoles. It then started to change. I think it was PS2, was it the first one that started
that.
it? And then PS3 went for it.
Yeah.
So for us, that was like the stepping stone and the PC gaming into internet gaming. And then you look at it now, how much money is circulating in the gaming industry?
It's a multi-billion pound industry. So when I first started in the business, got my first job, we all had IBM PCs.
Yeah.
So I literally, I was thrown into that. And as I say, with respect, I am like the 20 odd years or whatever it is between us. So I've got that. And I remember the very first IBM XTs, huge heavy machines with floppy disk drives. We then progressed to the PS2, which back then was the IBM PS2, which is the white model with the 3.5-inch floppy disks.
Yeah.
And then we started to get some people making PC games. And for me, the very first one was Mean 18 Golf. So we all used to do our job, and then literally we had an hour's break, and then we'd fire up the machine, we'd be munching sandwiches, and it'd all be, and it was only left or right to move your man, up and down to move your club, space bar to start it, space bar to stop it, and you had the little green thing, and we were, by the end of the second year, like it was, par threes were like, hole in one guaranteed. We were that good at it. But that, to me, was the very first time that I started to see the potential. So we started to have Commander Keen, which was a downloadable one. So this was the introduction of the internet. And then I think it's fair to say, in terms of my age bracket, my age thing, we then got Wolfenstein, which just transformed the way we thought.
There's a benefit to being an early adopter of technology, as in my folks were like, no idea.
Yeah.
Not no idea. My dad knew exactly what I was doing, but what I mean is games didn't have ratings really at that point. So I had Wolfenstein and I had Doom.
Yo, dear me, yes.
And they were like, whoa, what is this game?
Yeah.
And it's like the
blowing
blood and
people
virus.
apart.
It's just loads of pixels. But
yeah.
So Mum and Dad were always great from that point of view, because at the time there's none of that. So I got to experience.
Yeah, but Wolfenstein, Commander Keen from the then legendary Apogee games. So we did all of that. We then progressed, and by that point, thankfully, touch wood, however I want to do it, I was able to afford a PC for my Christmas present. So Mum and Dad chipped in, but I went, listen, I'm working now, I'll chip in as well. And I got my first PC. Me and my dad spending hours playing games, playing golf.
Yeah.
But by then, I think the whole, the computer and video games, where I used to be able to type in games, and it was just becoming more of a worldwide, I would call, phenomenon, and people were just picking these things up.
Yeah.
And suddenly it escalated to a whole new level. And again, I know what you're saying about the Quake, online Quake games. About then, we all started to do the LAN games, and we had the one that I remember as a young, sort of like young adults, Midtown Madness. Now, Microsoft's Midtown Madness
was brilliant, really good,
just incredible. Where you would play the cops and robbers, you'd run over the piece of gold, and it was the first, and then just again 2v2. Just chasing each other, and then left field, somebody just smacking you when you are centimetres away from delivering the goal, and just falling about laughing.
You would.
And having that where we're going to have to pause the game. I can't breathe because I'm laughing too much.
And I think that's the thing, though. Gaming, whilst it started off as something that is potentially viewed as like in isolation, just it's me playing a game, it's very sociable.
It is. It's hugely sociable. Brought me and a few of our friends together. Just going back to that Midtown Madness, we got so good at it in terms of that, we decided to up the level. So, like you were saying about the cardboard and things like that, we all went on and we went, right, you're only having buses. Like a bus's top limit was like 35 miles an hour or whatever it was. And going uphill, you were just like, no, it's too slow. But again, having the tactics where you would know, talking to your friends and going, listen, you cut left, cut him off. I know where he's going to go because of the map, and having that ability, but just the bonding that it gave us all online. And suddenly to me, it was like, I'm not playing a game on my own anymore. I'm interacting with friends.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm in Stockton. This guy's in Thornaby, another friend's in Thornaby, Redcar, whatever it was. Just amazing.
Yeah, well, once obviously started working, kind of moved away a little bit from the gaming. Would still play every now and then with my mate, but it'd be like on his PlayStation 3, 4, whatever at the time. We'd do that sporadically, but I didn't have a PC at the time to service it. It was only when I sort of, we had the kids, and I'm like, I'm in my house a lot. Yeah. I'm in my house a huge amount, It was then when I started to look at it again. And then, thank God I did, because when lockdown came in, whilst everyone was like, I'm so fed up of quizzes, and I was doing my fair share of quizzes, on a Tuesday and Friday night, we made that a gaming night where we'd all be on. So now you can talk like this with Discord.
Absolutely.
And you'll all be on there. And whilst we're all stuck in our own homes, it's just like being with your mates. Because when you are gaming, obviously, yes, you are 100% staring at the screen on what you're doing. The beauty of it now is you can be staring in the screen in the comfort of your own home, but because you're so engaged with what you're doing, you may as well be sat next to your mate, if that makes sense. So during lockdown and COVID, obviously gaming was primed. I mean, Call of Duty Warzone was coming out regardless, but if they could have gone, do you know what we should do? We should time the release of this game when a global pandemic hits.
I'm not sure the marketing people,
Yeah, that would be a tricky one. But that is what happened. Yeah. That is what happened.
They couldn't have released it at a better time.
And the other thing that started popping off was Among Us. Have you come across that?
Yeah, the Among Us was very good.
So if you don't know what Among Us is, it's all top down. You walk. It's a bit retro, and you're walking around the ship, and two of you it depends what you said it to, but a couple of you are murderers. Yeah. And you go around, and you've got to get people on their own and get them.
Stab them.
And then when someone finds that their mate is on the floor, no longer in the world, they call a meeting, and then they all start accusing each other. Yeah. All that happened is my mates were like, it was Adam. So
all the time.
Every game, I'd be like ejected out the ship first. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not the imposter. I was an imposter. But again, that during lockdown, really well placed.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think with gaming, and this is the irony, coincided with TV, and I've touched on me enjoying this. Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
Chess.
Yeah.
Has reinvigorated my interest in chess.
Yeah.
But also that came out similar time when I think lockdowns weren't happening. I think it was just after. But the online chess scene now, if you go on YouTube, there's so much content.
It's amazing.
And again, it is a game, and I do it. Why do I game? There's a good question. That I'm asking myself. Why do I game?
Corey asks me all the time.
Yeah. But
why does Adam game a lot?
Yeah, it's relaxation. Although saying that, I've not been doing much recently. I also find the DJing quite relaxing as well. Like another element. But it's relaxation. It takes my mind into something else.
I find I do find the gaming relaxes me. But again, funnily enough, the last couple of weeks, I've not been gaming as much. I've been playing the odd Starfield, as we all know. But I'm actually finding the automation and the programming, I genuinely find that invigorates me. Mm-hmm. So I'm finding that actually quite relaxing, even though it's challenging. Yeah. But and I do not want to say the mundane day of work, but you know what I'm coming from.
No, it's
your task list.
It's your routine.
Yeah, your routine. I find as well, and we mentioned this last week on the podcast, I like to challenge myself. I'm like, can I really do this? So I think last week I was saying to you that, I do a lot of automation. A lot of automation is in PowerShell.
Yep.
PowerShell and Power Automate and the workflow within Microsoft Teams and SharePoint and all the rest of it. But I've been itching to create some utilities that are unique to Resilient to help us on our day-to-day. Mm-hmm. And so I've taken the big challenge now is I'm beginning to learn C#. Yes. But that's a whole new challenge to me. It's just like I have no idea because I'm so used to programming PowerShell and it's like it pops up in a blue and white menu. Select one, select two. There's no graphical interface. There's no drop-downs. Now I'm beginning to learn how to do that. So a couple of ideas that I've got is that when we are trying to do something set up for a user or something, I'm creating a little drop-down box. There's a Power Automate script behind it.
Yep.
But instead of me logging into the admin console on the website, me logging in, signing in, and doing all of that, selecting the option, I'm actually trying to make it a GUI front end now. So somebody
GUI.
like me, GUI, somebody like Michelle, God bless, she doesn't have my programming skills.
Graphic user interface, by the way.
Thank you. She can just, like, using the mouse, she can just select, drop down, click, and away it goes.
Yeah.
So, but that's, sorry to interrupt, but that's my challenge. So it's not such a gaming thing.
But last night I was Houses of Feeling next week.
Yeah.
Come along, Club XS Middlesbrough. DJing, first house festival type thing. And last night I sat there and I was just going through my set, like basically going, what am I going to play? I've got loads of ideas. And I was like, right. And I just sat there. I must have sat there for an hour and a half. Just in my laptop, pulling tracks together, lining them next to each other to go, how does this flow into that and this, that, and the other? And you could argue it's work, but it's also
enjoyable.
It's enjoyable. It's fun. I was really in it, and I'm kind of sometimes trying to mix using the key shot because I don't have my mixer. I just need the laptop.
Yeah.
But you can like play the tracks through your laptop and this, that, and the other, and then I accidentally find the siren noise. That's like, oops. But, I could like try and mix things together and fiddle. And I think, like you're saying there with the automation stuff, like I'm saying with the DJing, why is there any difference between that and gaming? And I appreciate, all right, I'm going to go and DJ. I get something out of it. You're using that for work. But equally, if you find it relaxing and enjoyable, it's really important to do those things. And it's really important for me, DJing's about growing my skills.
Yeah.
In something else.
Yeah.
That is outside of work. So that's part of the reason why I do it. I also really enjoy music.
Yeah,
so
true.
It's a hobby.
No, true.
As well as
Can
a job.
We touch on what I know you've got a good gaming rig set up. I've seen the pictures.
Yep.
Hopefully you'll get to sample my gaming rig very shortly. So my gaming rig is that, and what I'm getting at is that I'm trying to take the gaming to that extra level. So obviously you were mentioning you're playing the game, you sat either with your controller, your keyboard and mouse, and you're staring at a screen.
Mm-hmm.
So for my 50th birthday, a long time ago now, all of my wonderful friends, they all chipped together, and Michelle surprised me with a proper gaming rig steering wheel.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So you literally get into the seat. It's a bucket seat.
Yeah.
It's got the proper thing that you pull yourself backwards and forwards on. Yeah. It's got the pedals, got force feedback in terms of the joystick, in terms of the steering wheel, and it's got a particular Logitech one, so the actual gear stick, sadly it's not force feedback one, but you'll get what I mean. You can either do the proper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you can flip a paddle and you've got the proper boom, boom,
tap,
boom,
tap,
tap, tap, tap, so you physically have, or the steering wheel's got the proper Formula 1 paddles. So with that, I'm physically playing a racing car game.
Yeah.
But you're steering, and because you've got the steering wheel, you get an extra immersion, as I call it. So trying to drift around a corner because I've got a proper steering wheel is actually adding that whole new level. And again, we were talking about this to be fair, Adam, we've talked about it every episode. How do I get better at this? YouTube.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And you suddenly start picking up somebody going, right, so when you're going around the corner, feather the accelerator.
Yeah.
What on earth is feather the accelerator? And it is literally, like you're feathering it.
Yeah.
Apparently that's what it's called, but you're feathering it. And I got better and better and better. And then I wanted to take it to the next level. And that's when I introduced the Oculus. So now I play Live for Speed, and I play all of these games, Corsetta, I think it's called, where you then put the virtual headset on, and I can physically look around, and I can see, the person next to me, and the whole thing is, again, it's crazy. I come off after about an hour, and I'm sweating bucket. I feel as though my arms are like, wow. And then just before I let you go, then the next level. You then play the game Colin McRae Rally in VR.
Yeah.
And what that does is that when you crash, you spin. And the car spins. And you're like, oh, good grief.
Yeah, with the VR headset.
With the VR headset, you are flipping and tumbling and turning. I mean, it just takes it to that next level. It's incredible. So what have you done in terms of your gaming to try and take it to that next level?
Yeah, I suppose VR is one of those straight off the bat. I mean, the first experience of VR was PlayStation VR with my mate.
All right, PlayStation 2 move things.
Yeah, and then he moved on to that, and then he got a Steam Index.
Yes,
which was the first, and I played. Is it Pavlov?
Yes,
where you've got the guns.
Amazing.
And you've got to like actually reload it and things like this. But what I found was when you're moving, pushing forward, I was like, I felt like I was on a moving floor. I wasn't moving, but the motion thing got me. It takes a bit of getting used to.
It does.
But yeah, in terms of immersion, I think I've got a nice big monitor, sort of thing. RGB lighting around the desk.
I've not gone to that level yet.
But it's only around my desk, so I don't have my big light on. It's quite dark and chilled out, but you're not getting that. Good quality headphones.
Oh yeah, I've got the Corsair ones with the flip down.
Yeah,
wireless.
So I suppose really it's about, for me, comfort around there.
It is comfort.
I would love to say I want a driving rig and all of these sort of things. That would be amazing.
To be fair, my friend, you've got kids. I've got kids that have moved away.
But I have kids, and I showed you a picture.
Oh, how good was that?
So, birthday party. Hey, child, what would you like to do? Here are some options. And
Can I play Fortnite, Daddy?
Yeah, there's bowling. There's all sorts of stuff where we're going to go and do. And it's like, I'd like to do a Fortnite party. And there are gaming companies in the town where you can go, a gamers lounge type thing.
Yeah, it's great.
Really great.
Really good.
Really great.
Yeah.
But I was like, we don't need that. Because it was, I've got the capability to do it. If you don't have the capability to do it, go for it. But I was like, I could do this. I've got this. So I've got a Fortnite account. The kids can play split screen on their Xbox. And then it turns out Amazon Luma.
Yes.
If you've got Prime membership, which I do, you can get... I mean, Fortnite is a free game, but it was on a laptop that isn't capable of running Fortnite.
Yeah.
But you can stream it through Luma.
Yeah.
So I set up... They had their TV in the playroom where they game, basically. I set up another monitor with my PC there, and I set up another screen there with the Luma on. So when they walked in, I also put these lights that are behind us in.
Great. I saw the picture.
Yeah, and they've also got some lighting behind the TVs and stuff like that as well. Pulled the sofa forward. We got them hot popcorn and hot dogs and pizza and all that sort of.
Can I just ask, where was my invite?
Well, if you want to be, I'm 9.
Yeah. Oddly enough, just Fortnite never got me neither.
No,
I'm not into Fortnite.
I have played it with the kids because it's, I think it's important to take their interest. And at first I was like, I'm just following their interest. And then I'm like, yeah, that was quite good. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It's when you're like shooting at somebody and they start building a house in front of their own face and you're like,
sadly, I'm just not quick enough.
I'm like, where did the pull? Well, the kids are like, someone's there. Stairs, roof, walls, floor. And I'm like, what? Whereas I was fighting probably an 8-year-old or something, and they put me in the house. They built it round me
and then shot you in it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So in terms of immersion, I did that for the kid. That was great fun.
So taking your, you mentioned Pavlov there.
Yes.
Okay, so loved that game. Really, really good. Played it to death. And one of the things that we all found was the depth of realism, the loading your guns, was really good.
Yeah.
Phenomenally good. But for those who haven't played on a Quest VR, you do get, and obviously you'll know what I'm talking about, you get that sense that you're holding an imaginary gun.
Yeah.
So your hands are not quite when you're trying to hold it up to your face. You do get, obviously, I'm exaggerating it, but you can be miles away.
Yeah.
Next level of realism, I go, there has to be somebody, Googled it, and on my 3D printer, I printed a sniper.
That connects into
connected, and you slot both of your Quest VR headset hands in it, and you physically got the next level of realism. And again, you're going to see all of this when you then change to the shotgun. Okay, the actual 3D printed version I got, to reload it, you actually slide the pump shotgun, and it clicks the button automatically, and it's like click, 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 and again, whole new level that you've physically got. The only downside is when you're then shooting with pistols, you're like, I'm shooting both pistols.
100%.
But again, it takes it to a new level.
My only concern with VR, and this was, this is why we wanted to talk about gaming stuff, is how it's changed, how people do it, how people view it. But for me, I was like, it was when it was like when VR was sort of quite new. For me, my mate had this. It was like one of these scary. I think it was Resident Evil actually, or something like that.
Incredible.
Yeah, which was terrifying.
But I love being scared.
No. You watch horror movies, I watch Arthur Christmas.
Yes. That's the kids, though.
Yeah. No, that's me.
Okay.
It's very much me. But I think the only concern that I had was when you get into the violent games, the gun situation may be a bit different. Yeah. When you've got to, like, hit, strike, stab, slash, I'm like, that does start to feel a bit, in my mind, maybe this is me being old, but it starts going, ooh, that is too real.
Do you know what? I don't disagree, but I also think we are of the age that we know when to stop. There has been, in my lifetime, the amount of times people have said, it's the games that cause the violence.
Well, this is a good question.
It's a good question. Let's just say, can I, prefix it my personal opinion? Mm-hmm. So obviously we've got to be careful because, we don't want to go out there. But my personal opinion is that if you are a game player, you know the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's a natural thing to say. I have seen kids that have been playing games and I have seen their violence. And shall I just say I've looked at the parents and went, okay. I'm not trying to say anything.
No, it's hard.
You must have this as well if we touch on the other games. You must have the kids, like, they must be 24 hours wanting to be on the machines. And just like I did with Daniel, I was like, no, there's limits. Stop. Have you done your homework? Have you done this? You've been on it too long. And God bless his 30-year-old goes out and thanks me because it allowed him to create that, what he classes. But you balanced me, Dad. You forced me to go outside. You forced me to play. And I didn't want to go out. And yet when I went out, I bloody loved it.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you've made there, and I forgot about, actually. So the reason why I got into game, I was doing loads of rugby growing up, teenager, and I wanted something else to do when I wasn't playing rugby. Like, I've been out, I've done all of that, I'm physically wrecked, and I'm like, I just want to do, and that's why I started gaming, actually. Yeah. But it was always that I've done physical stuff beforehand and then done that. But you're right. And I think this is the question that's always going to come back because people are saying violence and Pac-Man or, any of those sort of things back in the day. And I think it's right to have, things in place to make sure that, a 5-year-old's not playing Resident Evil, for example.
Well, you won't mind me saying I caught James playing my Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
So me and Michelle were out. He'd managed to log onto my PC because again, back then it was easy enough to do. He logged on and he started that, and he wasn't going around doing the things that Grand Theft Auto could allow you to do, but he was playing it with the sound on. So therefore, there was a lot of swearing involved.
Yep.
Now he got caught. He opened that. I grounded him for a week. But what was interesting is that we were talking about this at one of our get-togethers, and this was years ago. And I remember one of the other parents going, "Oh, my kid plays Grand Theft Auto," and I'm like, "Have you actually seen it?" And she went, "No, it's just a game, isn't it?"
Yeah, that's the other thing.
And I went round, and obviously I said, "Do me a favour." I said, "Go and look at the game the following week." Oh my goodness! Like, I've banned him from playing it. I did not realise that you could go around and, as you say, kill, stab, and again, the game itself, the whole Grand Theft Auto series. It is aimed at an 18-plus gaming audience.
Yep.
You should not be having children at 12, 13, and this is what, James, and I think I caught him, was like 8 and 9. And you'll get this as well, but my other friends play it.
All the time. We have that all the time. Warzone, Call of Duty is a prime example at the moment. Obviously, Fortnite is really... Andy smiling at the camera again. Alina made a shot of that, by the way.
Did she really?
She did.
Is it going out on social media soon?
Yeah, it's out there. No. You haven't been compared to anything, though. Not like me.
Thanks for that,
guy
Alina.
Trying to steal the chipmunks.
Thanks.
So, a lot of the, but my two are like, oh, yeah, that's off limits anyway. They know that. And I think the other thing is there's a difference for people between doing something in a game, i.e. Grand Theft Auto. I don't just walk down the road and go, I'm going to steal this car and drive off in it. And then you see me shoot past the office with 12 police cars and a police helicopter and SWAT units.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen.
That is just not what you do.
No.
I know people could go, that's what we need to do, that's what I want to do, or this, that, and the other. But equally, they do it in a game where they know they can do it.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
And they know, I can do it here because it's a safe space, I suppose, for me to do it. You've got to be careful, though. It's all about that sort of thing. But I do, with the VR stuff, it does make me go, But maybe that was just me.
No, definitely, though. But VR does have a lot of interesting aspects. We've touched on it in previous podcasts. I think when AI reaches mainstream, so, some of the demos that I've seen, so you've obviously played the game Resident Evil.
Yeah, briefly.
Pretty damn good game. The concept
scary.
video... No, it's not scary at all. It is. The concept video that I've seen is somebody literally walking around their own house.
Yeah.
So the idea would be that you would wander around with the headset on, but it's obviously pass-through, and it's building a model of your house.
No.
Go with me. So it's building a model of your house. It knows where the stairs are. It knows where the windows are. It knows where the doors are. It knows where the tables and chairs are. And then the concept video was he turned on the Resident Evil game and he started walking around his house and he started hearing noises. He obviously starts to walk towards the door, and then there's a window to his left, and the zombies come smashing into his real window. And this guy, obviously it's a concept, and I can imagine he basically craps himself.
I wouldn't be able to sleep.
No, but to me, that's going to be the next level immersiveness. I mean, have you seen the game Ready Player One?
Yeah, the film. Yeah, I do like that.
I apologise.
Yeah.
That to me, talk about blurring your life between the real world and an artificial world. I don't think we'll be around to see it, God bless us, but maybe, I think I watched one of these, what's the film? Have you seen the Disney film WALL-E or the Pixar film WALL-E?
Love that film.
Yeah. So
that's my level.
Is it really? Yeah. All of those people that are on board the spaceship?
They're in the chairs.
They're in the chairs because life's been made so easy for them that they cannot, function or whatever like that. Imagine where you are in bed and you think, I'll get up, I'll get a coffee, but you put your headset on, you're sat in a chair, but you're physically walking, doing whatever you're doing in your AI world, to then switch off, meet your partner, whatever it may be, have a quick meal or whatever, but sit back down and then play a game together in another world. You wouldn't get off your backside.
I know. WALL-E, for me, because that came out quite early.
It did.
And there is a certain large, huge online retailer that everyone knows the name of that wasn't as big and at scale as it was then. And yet in WALL-E, what I notice is, and this is just an observation, is it Buy and Large is the shop. So there's a Buy and Large supermarket on the earth. And then you start seeing more and more Buy and Large, get your house, Buy and Large this, Buy and Large that. Buy and Large are the spaceship people. Yeah. And I was like,
this is interesting.
And I'm like, the certain online retailer wasn't as big as it was. And I'm like, just seeing this Buy and Large thing everywhere. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa.
So what do you think the next level of gaming, to wrap this up, what's the next level of gaming that you'd like to see, but where do you believe it's going?
Do you know, that's a really interesting one because, for example, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 came out this last week, I think. And it'll be downloaded, and that's on PC. And I think we're probably waiting for, whilst the VR stuff is amazing, I've got a Quest 2, incredible, really immersive, really good. And the fact that it's this small now. And the Meta Quest 3 has just come out, and obviously the processing power there, and how the technology moves on. But it's when these AAA titles like Call of Duty and things like this start producing the games in a VR environment, which I think they will.
They've said it's been coming for a long time. I mean, it hasn't yet emerged.
But it hasn't yet emerged. But I think that is because of you need a desktop PC this big to sort of run it, and then it's also scale. But imagine instead of buying a PC, you can just buy a VR headset. It changes the game very quickly. In terms of controllers, it's your arms, it's you, and then pressing buttons. So I'm interested, I think, to say, is what happens, because that could be 10 years. In the next 10 years, I would say that could be, we could start seeing. So the question is, will these big titles start being on, and they'll have a plan, I'm sure, tucked away somewhere, but in 10 years' time, will we still be sat looking at screens, or will we be swinging VR things around? I don't know.
No. For me, it is that next level you just mentioned, so obviously I keep a very close eye on the VR stuff. Yep. I must admit, and I'll be honest, I don't play it as much anymore. I tried because I'm so busy doing everything else. But we boiled it down to, we used to do, they still do it. I've not joined for a month, and I'm really sorry, guys. I will get there, I promise. But we still play walkabout mini golf because it's such a good laugh. So I'll just harp back to what you were saying. The gaming is not a AAA title game.
Yeah,
it's a fun mini golf type game.
Social activity,
but it's social.
Yeah,
I don't see these people anymore. They live in Newcastle. They live, wherever it is. One's just moved to Scotland, so it's more difficult to get to see them.
Yeah.
But having the ability to chat to them online whilst having fun, and I must admit, childish fun, but it makes us laugh so hard. That's great. But yeah, so the AAA titles, they will come, but I keep a very close eye on that. And I think the things that I believe will be the next level is what you've just said there. I think we will be hooked up in a harness so we can run on the spot.
Yeah, because I've got some of those things available now.
They have.
Yeah.
And they're not in anybody's price range at this moment in time. Unless you go to somewhere like the Gaming Lounge, that's where
you can access
that. But I think you'll strap yourself on a hook or something like that, and you'll begin to run. The guns that we will talk about, they will be physically holding them. So at the moment in time...
So I'm just having images of my wife walking in the room and I'm hanging from the ceiling, running like mad, screaming and looking over my shoulder,
running away from zombies.
She'll just shut the door at that point.
Exactly. She said, I don't know why.
No.
But that whole concept of physically being in the game, I think, coupled that with the things that I'm seeing now, I'm desperately trying to remember the name and I can't, but apparently you can wear a vest now that hooks into
Haptics.
The game. Thank you, but it's not. It's the name of the. I can't remember the name of the company that's selling it. But when you get shot, it's like you feel as though you're being shot.
Great.
No, again, it's that realism, and also I think the Quest 3 now it's starting to use it. It's starting to use hands manipulation. And then the next big leap for me would be haptic gloves.
Yep.
So when you grab something in the virtual world, you feel as though you're grabbing something in the virtual world. Yep. So whether you pick up that, like a gun with a trigger or a can. Have you, sorry, I know we said we'd end this. Did you ever play Half-Life, which to me, just...
Half-Life, which then provided an offshoot of Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Counter-Strike, started playing it. So Counter-Strike was a patch that somebody made. It was a beta, and it was tested, and it was all this. And then we played that on LAN. Then it went CS Source, and then CSGO. And
again,
Counter-Strike 2's just come out. It's still going strong. It's one of the most popular online games.
So Half-Life to me, when you very first got that, and then...
Blew my mind.
If you played Half-Life 2, where the train guy came and started talking and...
Played that.
Wake up, Mr. Freeman.
Yeah.
Again, you would just like... And probably for the first half an hour to an hour, I did nothing but pick up a can and drop it going, this is incredible. Now, bearing in mind, I'm doing it with a keyboard and mouse. But then, again, may I ask, have you played Alex Half-Life in VR?
I have had a go on my mates, but it is...
I mean, that,
blew
again,
my mind.
Just blew my mind. And I'm... What's the word? When I was playing VR, you were saying the very first time you get like that motion sickness.
Sorry.
I did get it, but like after about an hour, I'd got rid of it, and I'm very used to. I'm that type of person. I'm like, okay, I can get past this.
Yeah, you get used to it. Yeah.
I get used to it. Therefore, all of the games that scare me and they do things like that, I get it. I honestly get it. Alex VR was the first one where you remember the big striders.
Yep.
And have you played that part of the game where you very first meet the strider?
Yeah.
I actually ducked because for the first time, I think, and we're talking about a AAA title, that was a title that I was just this. To me, this is a something from my memory, Half-Life, that absorbed my life for a year and a half with everything, and then you suddenly get Alex VR. Again, spent the first hour picking up a crayon and writing on the windows. Because I could.
Because you can.
Because I could.
Yeah.
If you could combine that game with the haptic gloves, the haptic vest, I don't know, but just...
it would be unbelievable.
I don't think anybody would come to work.
You made me think of just one last game that made an impact. Job Simulator. In VR. That was brilliant.
How good was that?
So what do you mean Job Simulator? And he's like, yeah, you just sort of go to work. Yeah. I was like, right. So you're like picking up a coffee cup and you're in like an office cubicle.
Yeah, you are.
I was like,
fine, Chuck.
Throwing it. Like, clock, can I get that off the wall?
Yes, you can.
And you can. Will it frisbee?
Yes, it
will.
does.
Yeah. So, you do. Yeah. It's like, I actually played the Job Simulator is great because it was almost like you can just completely test the parameters of VR. That's basically what it is. Will a clock frisbee across the room? Yes.
Again, how much fun did you have?
Oh, it's amazing.
What most of my friends who are not gamers, I introduce them to the VR. So the three that I always do is, funny enough, it's the not the Job Simulator one. There's one that is a freebie that you basically throw, fire, guns, but everything's all about playing in the objects. Mm-hmm. There's the dinosaur one where they comes walking towards you.
Yes.
And there's the one where you stand on a ledge.
Yeah.
And it's part of the Oculus thing.
Thingy's plank.
Yeah.
Something
plank. But those three, the first one I do is the plank because it gets introduced them. The amount of people that literally reach out for me and like, oh my gosh, like I'm falling. Like, no, you're not. Just chill out. Then you introduce the dinosaur one.
Yep.
The amount of times that people are cowering on my gaming room floor. But then I let them loose on this play. And they're just like, I think what somebody said, what I found interesting is that if you put me in a room with a cup, a ball, a frisbee, things like that, I'd be like 5 minutes ago, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
But in VR land, they suddenly begin, well, can I do this? Does this object that I know it does it in real life, but does it do it in VR? Oh my God, it can.
Yeah, and then you're like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. It was just
Is it
amazing.
like being a child again? Finding out about the world.
That is what it's all about. And obviously, I'm still playing Starfield at the moment, loving it to death. And it's a real good game for me to lose my life in. Give it a rest, give it a break. But yeah, I mean, in summary, I believe gaming is part of my life. It really is. I wouldn't be who I am.
Yeah.
Because I love my computers, I love my gaming. It's interesting because Michelle helps me. Doesn't like gaming at all, apart from Minecraft. The one thing we haven't touched on. Minecraft.
I know, how have we not touched on Minecraft?
I know.
It's brilliant.
So we ended up building our own server. Somebody introduced it to me. And I think Minecraft is one of these games where you either go, what are you talking about? You build block and just switch off. Or like me, you go, oh my God, I can see.
Well, the way I looked at it was it's bad graphics.
Yep.
Deliberately. Bad graphics. What are you doing? And then before you know it, you don't see it for the graphics anymore.
No.
We've built, with the kids, like an island and then a train line that runs to another island.
Yep.
And we created a train station.
Yep.
We just spent hours doing it. And the
spent hours?
Kids are loving it. We're having a good laugh. It was middle of winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, middle of winter. We've been out. They'd been played rugby that day. I'd played the day before. It was great.
Yeah. Me and Michelle actually set up our own online server.
Yeah.
We've run a world for 3 or 4 years. We're not in, we don't play it a lot now. Well, I hardly play it at all. But that's still the world there. I used to do all the automation with the redstone and the things like that.
course you did.
Well, of course I did. So you will not be surprised that we used to find where the coal is. We used to find where the iron ore is. Michelle used to dig, put it into a cart, press the button, the cart would go, spiral up to the top, it would head off to a warehouse, and I built, again, YouTube, fabulous place. You get the concept of how you can sort. So again, the game knows how to sort. This truck would go off, hit the right spot. It would go, oh, that's where the gold is. It would tip it all into like one big container, and then this container would just travel round and round, and it would drop off all the gold in the right place, all the coal in the right place. So you just end up going to this warehouse, millions and millions of chests, and you just look and just go, I want coal. Press the button, chest would open, there's all the coal, there's all the gold. I would love all of that automation. Michelle, I'll just prettify your house up.
Pretty much what I did.
Yeah.
I was like, we're building a farm.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, what a great episode that was. Thank you for taking me back to my childhood.
I think we needed to do that. I think that was a bit lighter, bit more reminiscent, but obviously very relevant in terms of tech and what things are doing.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have to think up of something next week. So plans for the weekend, sir?
Rugby.
Rugby
tomorrow. We had a game. We didn't have a game. We then had another team playing us, who then weren't playing us, and then the original team are now playing us. That's how the week's gone.
Wow.
So rugby, and then I am DJing over in Barnard Castle.
Barnard Castle?
The world famous Barnard Castle.
Very good.
Yep, so I'm doing that. What about you?
So tomorrow, heading off to a customer, so I'm working tomorrow.
Oh.
But it is a planned downtime.
Yep.
We have to replace a UPS, which basically means we have to take everybody offline. And the weekend's the best place to do it.
It is.
So there's a colleague of ours coming over from Germany.
Yep.
So this is one of our customers who are effectively over in Germany. So he's meeting us there at 8 o'clock tomorrow, and we shall be taking the UPS offline, setting the UPS up, and then disappearing over to Yarm, meeting some friends. But actually, it's friends. So when Michelle first told me what's going to happen, apologies, that shouldn't be happening. I thought about that. But anyway, she said, we're meeting up some friends on Saturday. I was like, great. What are we doing? She went, well, I'm drinking gin with this lady in question, and you're fixing her computer. Right. Okay, then.
That's a bit different.
That's a different way of putting it. She went, I'm sure you'll get on. Just crack on. We'll just drink gin, but you'll work.
I'm sure you'll figure it out.
I'm sure I'll figure it out. I'm sure of all that. But yeah, so that's going to be our weekend. Sunday, nothing. I do a bit of Starfield again and things like that.
Sunday roast this week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Sunday roast. Kids rugby on Sunday morning.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for that, my friend, and I look forward to speaking to you next week.
Take care.
Take care. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Where are those chipmunks at?